Welcome to the Pit Check, your weekly news for the best and heaviest new albums from your favorite extreme metal and hardcore bands. This week we've got a ton of amazing new music for beatdown hardcore lovers and metalcore lovers. But we've also got a couple incredible new death metal albums you've gotta check out. We've also got some atmospheric black metal, and even one Electronicore band that I just had to mention. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into the reviews of this week's best and heaviest new albums. Do you love hauntingly atmospheric black metal? Celebrating their 20th anniversary, the legendary black metal band Abigail Williams has just released their latest album, A Void Within Existence. Abigail Williams has been known for switching up genres quite a bit with each release, with their early work pioneering that Blackened deathcore sound. But over the course of 20 years, they've evolved their sound from a more traditional black metal to this now ethereal and bleak and cinematic black metal. Even though this band has had so many lineup changes over the years, this has always been the brainchild of guitarist and vocalist Ken Sorceron. And Ken's done it again. The songwriting on this album is some of the most mature and elevated of their entire discography. And Ken even shows off some of his singing chops, especially on the closing track, just really hammering home that this dude is never going to be done innovating and changing. If you're a fan of black metal bands that love to get a little heavy, but have gorgeous melodic riffs and solos, bands like Emperor or Wolves in the Throne Room or Wormwitch, this band is going to be right up your alley. I really enjoyed this one, and I definitely recommend it to all fans of black metal or blackened death metal. Oklahoma beatdown hardcore is insane. The brutal metallic beatdown hardcore band Cell are back again with their latest album, titled I Will Not Be Found Hereafter. This is a massive album. Every riff is bone-rattling. The guitars are full throttle and driving and beefy as hell, and then just halftime slam you in the face with these earth-shattering breakdowns. If you love metallic hardcore mixed with beatdown hardcore and slam and even a little bit of deathcore, bands like No Cure, Mugshot, Body Snatcher, or Last 10 Seconds of Life, you're gonna love this album. This was an awesomely heavy new release, and I was even surprised to hear some of these melodic and gloomy overtones, which keeps the vibes interesting and dark and avoids repetition. I highly recommend checking this one out for yourself. Do you miss MySpace Electronicore? The nostalgic electronic-based blackened metalcore band Blind Equation are back with their latest album titled A Funeral in Purgatory. Man, this makes me miss Sky's Airplane. Full transparency, I wasn't initially planning on covering this album. It's not exactly what we cover on this channel, but after hearing it, I was so wrong. This hit me right in the nostalgia feels. You know, that era where like every scene kid had a one-man band based on a cracked version of FL Studio. Real ones still call it Fruity Loops. I love the fusion of genres that this band has. It has this like black metal meets Nintendo Electronicore bass line, but then it'll infuse this like melodic death metal or even 2000s auto-tuned metalcore choruses. And they manage to keep things so fresh and interesting on every single track. Like you're never gonna mix up two of their songs. I was pleasantly surprised how much I really enjoyed this release. This isn't just throwing back to that retro style of internet metal. It's expanding upon it in a really unique and surprisingly mature way. I honestly don't think I'd ever thought I'd hear Nintendocore with elegant song structures. Baltimore hardcore just keeps getting nastier. The absurdly heavy up-and-coming band Erode has just released their debut album titled Devout. If you love down-tempo beatdown hardcore, or as they call themselves, blackened hardcore infused with death metal and dark energy, then you need to check this one out. From the literal first second of this album, you'll know if it's for you. I love the chaotic energy coming from this band. And they've also bagged some awesome features from Sinister Feeling and Putrescine, further nailing down that death metal and hardcore crossover sound. It sort of gives me a 100 Demons vibe every so often. I really enjoyed this album, and I'm kind of blown away by how fast this band is starting to rise in the ranks. They've literally only been around for 3 years, so I really can't wait to hear what this band does as they continue to grow and evolve as musicians. This is definitely a band to keep your eyes on. Need some swampy, sludgy death metal? The OSDM revivalist band Reburied are back with their latest album titled Flesh Mourning. The Pacific Northwest has been releasing non-stop heaters lately, and this album is no different. This is some awesome down-tempo, old-school death metal that blends in some really tasty doom and sludge into their sound. If you like bands like Tomb Mold or Autopsy or Incantation, you definitely need to check this one out. The guitars on this album are phenomenal, managing to tastefully balance death grind riffs and blasts with slow, crushing, doomy passages, or even better yet, when they do both of those at the same time. And for this album, they brought in new vocalist Chris Pinto, who honestly steals the show. I really love his old school lo-fi growls and snarls, and they balance really well with the drummer's speed and precision and surprisingly swing influences. Definitely check this out if you love that golden age of old school death metal. Did you know there's some incredible melodic djent coming from Kentucky? The melodic metalcore and djent crossover band Wave Painter simultaneously released 2 back-to-back EPs titled Vita Incerta and Certa. If you love bands like Currents or Polaris or Silent Planet or Invent Animate, bands that balance melodic prog and groove-heavy djent with emotional and chuggy metalcore, you've got to check these 2 EPs out. I also really dig the theme behind this double release, with the titles of these albums translating to Life is Uncertain and Death is Certain. And these EPs bounce back and forth from uplifting and explorative ambient vibes to these disgustingly heavy and overwhelming breakdowns, which perfectly mirror the literal themes of the album. I really enjoyed this one, and I'm honestly happy to see this type of emotional metalcore continuing to evolve and expand, instead of kind of becoming a stale genre. Did you know that South Africa is putting out some unbelievably heavy music? The groove-heavy Melodeath/deathcore band Sunken has just released their latest album, Hunting Ghosts, Finding Demons. This might be a crazy sentence, but seriously, sometimes this band sounds like a perfect fusion of MySpace deathcore and Warped Tour metalcore. Obviously, there's so much more going on here than that. At times, there's some extremely groovy Melodeath like Lamb of God and Soilwork influences, but then there's also a lot of modern deathcore and tech death and even like throwback metalcore elements. Every song is a give and take of their influences. And as someone like me who loves all types of heavy music, this is great for me. And I also want to point out how good this band is live, earning their place at major festivals worldwide and doing their best to rep Johannesburg's music scene on the world stage. Definitely check this band out. They are on the rise. Want some explosive German metalcore? The up-and-coming band Throatcut has just released their debut album titled Resilience. If you love super dark metalcore, chaotic numetalcore, and vocals that sound like they're gasping for life, you're gonna love this. And I meant it when I said these guys are brand new. They literally got signed to a rising empire last year after only having released like 3 singles. So this is some young and hungry talent that clearly wants to prove themselves. I really liked how down-tempo and kind of crunchy these guitars are, and there's tons of atmosphere and like existential dread, but it still manages to be bouncy and kind of fun with stupidly heavy breakdowns. Definitely give this one a shot. And here's the full list of the bands and albums that were released this week, including a lot of the ones that we didn't get to review this week. The guitarist and vocalist from System of a Down released a new album titled Scars on Broadway. It's got a lot of punk and thrash influence, but it wasn't quite heavy enough for today's episode. I also have to throw out that Slaughter to Prevail has a new album out. They are not my cup of tea for a multitude of reasons, but if you like deathcore mixed with octanecore, that kind of heavier Slipknot vibe, you might enjoy that one. And then if you want some symphonic metalcore, Forbidden Order has a cool little 4-song EP that is pretty good. If anything sticks out to you on here, definitely check it out for yourself. And thanks again for joining me for these weekly album reviews. I really appreciate all the love you guys have been giving me. I read all of the comments and it's so cool to see. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I promise I will keep doing these for as long as you guys are going to keep watching them. And I'll see you next week for next week's metal and hardcore album reviews.